Welcome back to the episode 2, season 3 Track World News podcast. I'm your host, Colin Waitsman. We're also here with our co-host, Noah Williams. Noah, how you doing today, man?
Feeling good, man. Blessed and highly favored, brother. What's going on? How you feeling?
Doing well. For those that are just listening, Noah's smiling ear to ear. He's got his Jets jersey on. Tell the people a little bit about how you're feeling. NFL draft just happened this weekend. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Draft season is always a good time of year. You know, it's a time to get a little hype about your team, hype about the new guys coming in. You know, just a good time for everybody. I feel like every football fan.
For sure. No, yeah, it was big one, some big picks. I'm an Eagles fan. I was really happy that we picked up Jeremiah Trotter Jr. That was really good. So I was like former Eagle coming on in, got some good cornerbacks because Lord knows we needed them. That was something that we were not looking too good. So what's the preseason prediction for you with the Jets? I know we're like a long ways away, but you had to make a stance right now. What's it looking like?
Super Bowl champs. Huh?
All right. Well, I guess we'll see. Super Bowl champs, New York Jets. You heard it here first. So we'll keep this recording, and when that happens, I'll make one hell of a clip. So
yes,
awesome
sir.
Stuff. All right. Well, let's get into it with track and field. There is a ton of stuff to cover today, so you guys are in for a good one. I'll give you a little preview of some of the topics. We have Michael Johnson getting $30 million in funding for his track and field league. Gabby Thomas teaming up with the founder of Reddit to make an all-women's track and field competition. What do those mean, and what does the future of sport look like? We're going to recap the Diamond League competition that we had in China, the second iteration. What are some takeaways from that with the sprinters, where we had Simbine with the big win, Daryll Nieta with the big win over Sha'Carri Richardson. We also obviously have Penn Relays recap, some really great high school competitions, pro competitions that are going on there, records that went down, as well as some controversy in the 4x4 and what that means. And then we'll close things out with stories from the track. You're not going to want to miss that. Noah was sharing with me a pretty funny one that he has, so make sure you're tuned in for that to hear some of the great stuff that we got going on. But we will get started here first. Michael Johnson, he is going with a new track and field league. He announced not too long ago called the Winners Alliance, and it was just released that he has already acquired over $30 million in funding for this new track and field league. We've heard of different leagues in the past, Noah, trying to get started here. What do you think this all means for the potential sport of track and field, and what it means to be a professional? As you're in the circuit, like you're one of the people that could be impacted by this right now.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting for anybody to do it, but for somebody that's to the level and legacy and status of Michael Johnson to be spearheading this and being the one to take the torch and take the helm of this thing. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's dope that a lot more athletes will get more opportunity to perform, make money, and grow. I did some research and found what I could for the moment. And it seems like there's going to be a lot of focus around like building, not community, but like building more hype around the athletes. There's going to be a lot of like focus on that solely, so the fan, I feel like, so the fan can kind of have that connection to the athlete, and that's going to help the sport grow. I think his main goal with this is to grow the sport. And I think with everything he's shared on Twitter and his ideas and his perspective on it, I hope that it'll be successful. I do. I think he's got a good direction that he's going in. So what are you thinking about it right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the people that have been extraordinarily vocal with his desire to grow track. And so it's like, put your money where your mouth is. That's what a lot of people's thoughts were, before this announcement of him, partnering with Winners Alliance. And then he's like, all right, bet, like I'll do it. And so now he did that, and it was like, all right, you're partnering with them. Okay, what's the next step? All right, you got $30 million. Like, that's no slouch. I mean, you take a look at some of these other startup leagues. I mean, UFC started with $5,000 back in 1999. $5,000 in a gym. And then now, Dana White has grown that to being the biggest combat sports, brand in the entire world. And so now, like, hey, you're starting with 30 million. Is it the amount of an NFL, an MLB, an NBA? Of course not. Like, they're making $30 million over the course of a week, with just one team, but you got to start somewhere. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Now, it has to come to fruition. Like, we've had a lot of leagues that have promised a lot of big things, and it's going to be great, but they haven't come to fruition. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what this is going to look like, come 2025 when they're allegedly, supposed to, get started here.
Yeah, all the power to it. Hopefully, I get the opportunity to run in this league. I would love to participate in it as an athlete myself, but if it's going to grow the sport and help these athletes, butter up their pockets a little bit, I'm all for it.
Yeah. You mentioned a little that one thing that he's really trying to, bring out are the personalities, when it comes to the track and field space. And I know on Twitter, he mentions a lot of people only care about the records and like it's records or nothing, not as much the wins and the losses and who those people are. Do you why do you think that is? Like, is it just like a historical thing? Like, hey, track has always cared about that, and so that's what the pros currently care about now, or is there something else as to why that's the main focus, you think?
I think there's a few factors that go into it, but I think the whole record thing speaks out the most because to the common man, it's like, oh, well, how fast is he compared to such and such, or how fast is he compared to Bolt or whatever. There's like always like a objective cap or idea of somebody, like when you tell them you're fast or this person won this race. Oh, are they the fastest man alive or are they the fastest man ever? I think it's kind of like a title that people hold on to that kind of draws like the casuals or whatever you want to call them to the sport. So yeah, I think that's probably a big contributing factor to it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that when you just see the world record, under a YouTube clip, it's like, oh crap, this is the best one of all time. Like, let me go and let me tune in. Let me see that. I think that's definitely true. He made some comments as well that on Twitter that I was like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Of just like, hey, the world records when it comes to the what was it, Mondo? After he was like pretty nonchalant because he's comparing, he's competing against himself, Mondo, at this time. He's competing against the world record. Nobody's even remotely close to how talented he is. And I was like, oh, like he's, if he doesn't care too much about it, pole vault, it's got to be more exciting, got to bring more excitement there. But I was like, I disagree a bit because I think at least with the pole vault, it's one of those few events where it's just exciting to watch at whatever level that you're at. Like they had at Drake Relays this past weekend, a pole vaulting competition in the middle of a mall. Not sure if you saw that. Like they've had in the middle of a mall. I personally pole vaulted in the middle of a street. Like they go in like a town. You're vaulting in a street. They've had pole vaulting competitions in a cave before. They're all types of places. So I was like, hey, yeah, I think I see where you're coming from. But at least with the vault, I know I'm biased for sure. I think there's still excitement. Like even if you're watching high school kids, like you're flinging yourself in the air, still can be exciting. But totally agree. I think if we can bring in those personalities, it'll make it a whole lot better.
Yeah, and to that though, I think that pole vaulting is a very impressive and fun to watch event, especially when they conduct those street events. I remember I did the American Track League in Memphis a couple years ago, and Paul Doyle, he puts that on. But the meet was at the University of Memphis, and they had the pole vault competition on I think it's Beale Street, that like main strip down there in downtown Memphis, and the turnout was fantastic. Of just you're gonna get a local crowd, and people are gonna like, holy crap, it's definitely like something that can compel a lot of people that aren't necessarily track fans. So I wouldn't, I can't co-sign on somebody down talking it like that.
Yeah. It's one of the few where it can be a standalone event. I know Mondo has his own classic, where he has his own thing and it's like a whole big, stuff going on. I get why people may not go to a full track meet. Like, there's a track meet going on in in a local college. Let's go watch that for 7 hours. Like, it's a long day. But if you can break things up into like an individual thing, I think it can make it a little more compelling and make it more exciting. So it'd be good stuff. And so similarly, we just had a lot of news and a lot of stuff coming through when it comes to new potential track and field competitions that are coming to the United States. It was on the same day. It was Michael Johnson got announced, and then like 30 minutes later, we had this news with Gabby Thomas partnering with the founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian. I think I got that name right. Who is Serena Williams' husband? Fun fact. And who is now looking to create the first women's only track and field meet where the event would have total payouts of $95,000, which would go towards first, second, and third. As a note, this is starting off as track only, so field events would unfortunately not be included in the first rendition of this. But no, what was your first reaction seeing, now we have another track and field meet that's coming out that's looking to help grow the sport for the ladies here?
Yeah, I loved it, bro. I loved it. To have Gabby kind of be the face of it too is dope. She's one of the biggest names and biggest athletes on the female side in the sport. So, for it to be a woman exclusive, I think it's cool. It's unique in that sense. I would like to get in on it, obviously, with that money pool and stuff. But, I think it's dope for the sport. Like, if anybody of that stature, Serena Williams' husband, and creator of Reddit, if he's co-signing on it, like that's a lot of potential there. He's going to reach a lot of people, and Gabby, obviously, with her following, will reach a lot of people as well. So I think it's huge. I love it.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of big surgence right now with women's sports, and a lot of people looking to do it. Obviously, college basketball this past year, where you have, if you're talking about who are the most popular college basketball players, man or woman last year, the top 3 or the top 4 were all women basketball players. And so it's great to see how it's starting to grow. And yeah, to what you were saying, prize money is pretty crazy, man. Like I think it's $60,000 to the winner, where Diamond League, I think it was what, $10,000 for a regular Diamond League. And then for the final, I thought it might've been like 30, something like that. So it's like, they're paying you out pretty dang good if this is what it's ended up looking like, where it's going to bring out the best of the best, I would assume. Like, it's not just going to be, we'll have some, some people participate. There's going to be some killers coming out, I feel.
Definitely. That pride, that purse is pretty. That's a pretty number right there. So, I don't see a reason why the top competitors in the world wouldn't want to go compete for that, as opposed to some of these other meets, college meets and small invitationals,
Yeah, so I think this meet is happening in September. So right after the Olympics and before, I guess, the cross-country season really starts getting started here. So will be a really good bookend of the season, being able to see all these athletes who will be coming right off their peak, because the Olympics is in August, I think, something like that, mid-August, something like that. And so a lot of them, probably still would be at competing at a high level. And like you mentioned, it's great to have, a Gabby Thomas, a big name that's associating themselves with this. So we've got a lot of things coming around the pipeline with these new track and field leagues. Now it's like, let's see them to the finish. I want to see what this is gonna end up looking like. So should be pretty solid. Up next, let's go on over to our Diamond League competition. So starting things off on the women's side, Daryll Nieta got a huge win at the Diamond League in the 200 meters. She ended up coming in first. She beat the likes of Sha'Carri Richardson, who came in third place in there. Let me pull up what the time was. She ran a time of 22:62. Anavia Battle with a 22:99. Sha'Carri Richardson 23:11, and then Tamara Clark round out the top 4 with the 23:13. We saw a lot of stuff out of this race. What were your thoughts after watching this competition, Noah?
Firstly, Daryl's like a very pretty runner, like a graceful runner. She ran a really balanced, just a nice race. She smoked the field, she smoked the field. It was cool to watch. Anavia in second. I think she's sneaky having a very tremendous season. She had a great year in 21 and made the Olympic team then. And I think she's a personal pick for me to make this American team in the 200. She's competed, I think, 3 or 4 times, a couple times in Florida. She's been around a little bit, so she's getting her rhythm. And I really like what I'm seeing from her. She did a good job in the 100 as well. And Navy is another one that's like super graceful, finishes well. So I'm excited. I'm excited for her for the rest of the year. And then Sha'Carri in third place. You know, it wasn't probably the performance that any of us might have hoped for per se. I'm not sure what she ran the previous Diamond League. It might have been like 23-0 or was it 22-9?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Give me a second.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, I would have liked to see her maybe shave a tenth or 2/10 off that time that she had just previously ran. But she's in the ballpark. She's in a zip code, is what my coach would say. So I wouldn't say a bad race by any means. She got beat that day. And I mean, if we're being frank here, she's not a 200-meter specialist. She's great in the 200, and she's a phenomenal sprinter. Like, I don't want to discredit her, but, you know, I think that's not her specialty. But for her to be putting this volume in and getting back-to-back 200s this early might deem beneficial for her when it's time to go in the end of June there. She'll probably have a good rhythm going and be ready to make the team in the 200 as well as the 100. So that's kind of my takeaway there from that 200. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's, you know, call a spade a spade. She's the best. She's better in the 100. Sha'Carri, like when you're the world champion in one event, you're in the bronze medalist in another event. You're fantastic at the 200. You're great. A lot of people will probably wish they had that talent, but you're just better at the 100. It's like That's what it is. Like, makes sense. And so I wouldn't say it's time to panic yet, but I'm starting to like, all right, like I like to see a little more, you know, progression. You know, I am a little bit nervous right now, and I'm hoping that we start picking it up. And maybe it was just this trip with Tanisha Terry. Didn't quite see what I wanted to see, you know, with her yet. I know, you know, she ran a 23:37. I think her best event is also the 100. So I'm not panicking yet. It's only 2 events. But I'm starting to question, or I'm starting to hope, like, all right, like this next competition that you're going to have, like, let's pick it up a little bit here. Like, let's start seeing a little bit more signs of you know, of progress. It's obviously extraordinarily early. It's still just April. But I'd like to see, you know, something going on there. Could obviously be, you know, you're staying away from home for probably a week and a half because you had to get there a couple days ago. It's all the way across the world. Completely different meet. So they still have plenty of time and stuff, but I'm starting to be like, all right, hopefully when you get in that 100, let's see something going on. And now, like you mentioned with Daryll as well as with Battle, like, yeah, I think that 200 is going to be tough for Battle to make it in. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, you'll have Battle, you're going to have Sha'Carri, you're going to have Gabby Thomas, you're going to have a healthy Abby Steiner. So it's like, and that's just like a few of the people that we're gonna have. There's obviously a ton of individuals. I'm sure that I'm not going off right now. So it's gonna be a tough one to get. Can she do it? Of course. I mean, I think this is once again some good confidence of, you know, just beating, like you were talking about last week, beat some people that you may not be expecting to beat, or beat the people that you are expected to beat. I bet coming top 2 is definitely like of course you'd like to win, but still, you know, a notch in your cap to do well. And I think Daryll, I mean, she's doing well also. I mean, she's been one of the faces of the UK sprinting for a while now with Dean Asher-Smith, I feel. So I think she has you know, potential. She'll obviously make the final, I feel. And, you know, can she be a medalist contender? Of course. It's going to be, it'll be close though. But yeah, I thought that was a really kind of surprising, but exciting competition to see.
Yeah, definitely excited. This women's 200 field, there's 2 events really, the women's 200 and the women's 100 hurdles, that are really just so tight. There's so many intriguing competitors, talented competitors, and it, like, that field is like really like 12 deep in this. And I'm just talking in the States, which is crazy, you know. So a lot of credit to those girls, or to those ladies, and I'm really excited to see how this season is going to shake up for them. You know, keeping my eyes and my ears open to what they got going on in the 200.
100%. And talk about a transition. Geez, the transition god right here. Go right into the women's 100 hurdles. So that was also at the Diamond League. We had a little interesting thing here. I'm curious from your perspective, being an athlete, you know, what might be going inside their head. So for those that didn't see the competition, Tobi Amusan gets a false start at the line. She reacts with a time of 0.09993. So she reacted 0.0007 too fast. In other words, faster than you can blink is how quickly she just reacted of what the difference is. Like, you couldn't tell if you watched the video. It was just extremely unfortunate. So she runs under protest, but unfortunately isn't able to go. And then we had, Lele Johnson, while they were about to go, she raised her hand, stopped the field again. Then they had to reset, one more time. Could you, before we talk about the race itself, could you give any insight of, what's going on that line? Is that something that may rattle a runner of where, hey, there's a false start. It's taken a while because, she's going back and watching the videotape. You then have another stand up. Like, does that affect you when you're competing, or is it just kind of, it's not really a big deal?
I think it's kind of an athlete by athlete kind of thing. You're going to lock in when it's time to lock in, and you hear that on your mark, like whatever happened before, whatever false start happened before, whatever hand up happened before, like you're going to refocus. I don't think that's going to take away from like, your level of focus or level of interest or level of, how locked in you are for your event. It is a little weird. It creates like a weird atmosphere. Like, all right, like y'all are playing now, it kind of creates that a little bit of a vibe. But as far as like, will it take away from what they're going to do? The remaining competitors, I don't think so. It was still like, you saw the times, the results there. It was a great race disregarding what Lele and Tobi had going on. So, it's not too big of a factor, but it is annoying though. I'll say that.
Yeah. I kind of think of it like when people are trying to ice the kicker, like in football, like, hey, let me just raise my hand real quick. Let me make you think about it a little bit, take a time out. But yeah, like you said, the women's 100 shows up every single competition. They just look at who the levels of people we had. You have the world record holder, an indoor world record holder, the outdoor world record holder, the Olympic champion, 3-time world champ. Like, you have just crazy athletes competing in this every single week, and like they don't dodge smoke. Like, they go after each other every single week. Jasmine Camacho-Quinn coming out here with a win of 12:63. She ran down Devin Charlton of the Bahamas, who ran a 12:64. She got out really well, and then Jasmine closed. What is, you think she can repeat as the Olympic champion here?
Jasmine?
Yeah,
I absolutely do. The biggest thing that I like about Jazz is her strength from 7, like after hurdle 7. A lot of times girls seem to get a little, not tense, but like it's like you hit that max, and then it's kind of like that slow deceleration. But I think she does a really good job of still carrying that momentum after 7. And she's a strong runner, strong girl, strong lady. I need to stop saying girl. These are grown women. She's a strong runner. So I think that Jazz is definitely in contention to defend her Olympic title, man. And she's a great person too. Really, really good energy, really sweet, fun person. So shout out to Jasmine Camacho-Quinn there.
Yeah, I think Otto was saying it on the broadcast. Like, hey, she's got one of the best closes that you'll see in hurdles. He's like, that front end, that start is where the biggest area of focus is going to be. And, hey, if you can get that going well, because it hasn't been the exact same that has been over the last year or so. She's like, hey, if you can get that straight, like, she's going to just be in a whole another world of contention. So that should be really good. So I'm excited for it. Like, that's one of those meets where you have no idea who's going to be a champion. Like, to say, oh yeah, Jasmine's going to win. Like, there's like the entire final has the ability to win that thing, which is just ridiculous.
It is crazy, man. It is crazy for sure. Cool.
And so let's go on. We'll stick with the 100, or stick with the Diamond League. We had a little bit of some would call it an upset, some would call it a surprise, whatever you want it to be. But Akani Simbine ended up beating Fred Kerley as well as Christian Coleman in the 100 meters at the Diamond League. He ran a time of 10.01. Fred Kerley came in third with a 10.11. Christian Coleman with a 10.04. This was coming off of what was I think a 10.13 victory from Christian Coleman, or a 10.11 victory last week. Noah, what are some of your things that we can take away from this race as we go with the remainder of the season here?
Yeah. So obviously, Christian ran a little bit faster than he did the prior race, which is good. We love to see that. And I was looking at this race a few times because I was looking for a flaw in Coleman's run because, you know, he got out well this time. As opposed to the last week, he might have didn't get out as he typically would, but he got out well in this race. And I looked through 70 to 90, and I didn't really necessarily see any tie up from him. But Simbine just downright flat out outran him. Like, I think it was after that transition around like 40 to 60 meters in there somewhere where it looked like Simbine, his turnover just hit, and he hit that good feeling. Any runner knows, like when you feel that, you feel it, and it looked like he hit that where he was able to carry that speed past Coleman. So Coleman, I don't think he could have, like, for that day, that race, like, he executed a good race to my eye. Simbine just went out there and beat him, which is, that top end, to see that top end from him was very impressive. It was cool to watch. If they ran 3 times, I'm going to take Coleman 2 out of those 3 personally. But, you know, he's a competitor. He went out there and he won, you know, so I gotta tip my cap to Simbine, man. Shout out to the South African pride, man.
There you go. Yeah, it's a big win for him. Like, maybe we were seeing it, like, so I was looking at like the end. It was looking like Coleman's, like, his knees were getting a little low towards the end. Like, knees might have been a little heavy, like at the last little bit, which
Yeah.
I was like, I thought that might have played a little bit of a factor where, hey, your knees weren't driving as much as you needed, and then Simbine's top end was just like, it was just too good. One thing though, now, you know, we've Fred, he's had a couple races already under his belt now. Like, he's done a few races already, and then now he's got 2 more races right here in China. Like, do you think this can be, is this a lot of racing that we're doing where it's like, hey, you're running a lot. You're not seeing the times that you necessarily want to do. Is this something to think about? Because he's hoping to also do the 100 and the 200, or is it not really going to be as much of a factor, you know, with the rest of the season here?
It's a good question, Colin. You know, I think that it's an athlete by athlete kind of thing. Some coaches, and the way that they train, they try not to overrun, you know, because training is so intense. So track meets might only be once every other weekend and once every 3 weekends leading up to the trial. But on the other side, some people's training programs are kind of designed for them to race themselves into shape or race themselves into rhythm. So I don't know what Fred's regimen is like, but no matter how, he's been in the game for a little while. No matter how many races he runs in April and May, he's always ready for championships. So, you know, maybe somebody else, it might affect them, but through the evidence that Fred has provided us through multiple years, like, I think he'll be ready when it's time to be ready. You know, he's probably trying to get his rhythm right now, work on a couple things, and if he's choosing Saturday track meets to do that, you know, more power to him. Yeah. So I think Fred will be ready though. I don't want to look too deeply into his frequency of races.
Yeah, I know, because he's been a big proponent of the early. I think he does a lot in the beginning, more meets in the beginning of the season, and then you'll see him kind of cool off a little, or take a little less meets in the middle of the year, and then pull it back up. So maybe it's like, hey, let me get a lot of this while we're still in heavier training cycles, and then as we're lighting it off, we'll take some time and then ramp it back up again. I think I've remembered him, you know, doing something like that. So something where it's like, hey, I think this goes into the just the, you know, once again, the factor of you're beating who you're trying to beat. Where, hey, Coleman, it's like, yo, I've beaten you, even though I didn't win, I still came ahead of you in 2 straight weeks, you know, going into this. And so it's like, you know, going into the trials, you know, who knows? This might be the last time that they race each other until the trials. And so you might have that mental edge, you know, going into it of, hey, we've seen each other earlier this year, had the best of you 2 weeks in a row, or 2 times in a row. I'm looking good for it. So we'll see how that might, you know, that factor might play. It's also going to be 2 months down the line when they're doing the thing. So who knows, you know, what's going to happen in between now and then. But yeah, I think it's something to look out for, but not like a concern, I guess, right now.
Yeah, agree. Not a concern, but it's definitely to keep your eye on it. And Coleman might have that mental edge, but you never know with Fred. He's a very mental athlete.
For sure. And so up next, we've got last professional race before we really start getting into the Penn Relays recap. We had what was one of the craziest before. I didn't believe my eyes when I saw it at first. I had to double check. Rhasidat Adeleke, I believe I said that right. I'm pretty sure. Rhasidat Adeleke of Ireland, I believe, who's a 400-meter runner, by the way. Runs a 100, wins in 10.84. It was a plus 3.4 wind. Still very fast, but beats the likes of Clara Barnes, Dina Asher-Smith, Julian Alfred, as well as Cambria Sturgis. Is she just a robot? Like, you don't see 400-meter runners having this type of speed, especially one that, like, she's tall. Like, it might be a little bit more people might think it'll be a little more difficult to get out the blocks for someone of her height, but she's running these pretty crazy times. Like, what's your takeaway from what Adeleke did here?
She's special, man. She's a special athlete. I think if you've been following her since her days at the University of Texas, like, she's shown it for a long time. She's shown top end speed in her 200s that she ran there. Obviously, 400s, she was incredible. Won national championship. I believe she won national championship at UT. And I've been seeing her run these relays with their training group, with Dina, Lene, and the Bowerman winner. Yeah, Julian Alfred. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I've been seeing her run these relays, and she looks really good. But to see her line up in 100, and okay, she ran 1084 windy, right? Oh, it was windy, whatever. People want to discredit that. But look who was in the race with her, and look who she beat, right? Clara Barnes is a consistent sub-11 runner, okay? All right. Dina Asher-Smith, she's won medals, and we all know who Dina Asher-Smith. Julian Alfred, we all identify Julian Alfred as a special talent in the short sprints. This girl is a 400-meter runner. She's like 21 years old, 21, maybe 22 years old. So, man, does she want to switch? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But, like, that's incredibly impressive to be running that fast and beating those names in an event that you probably aren't training for. So, incredibly impressive. That might be the most impressive run or performance from the weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, that one was crazy. And like you said, as a 400-meter runner showing this range, I know she started off as a sprinter. I think like her freshman year, sophomore year, she was a 100-meter runner and then started going up to that 4. So she's had that speed, but hasn't trained for it in a little while. And so, yeah, like to see, not only are you running a 1084 with, if you adjust it to no wind, it would be like an 11.0 or 11.05. And if you just make it wind legal, it'd still be like a 10.9 or so, which is like impressive. Like this type of time puts you up there in the not all-time list, sorry, but the top list of top athletes for this season. As a 400-meter runner, like you don't see that. And so it's like, hey, maybe this is something where, after probably not this year, maybe after a few years, she's like, hey, do I try this 100 meters instead? Like I know I'm great at this 400, but this is that one thing where you'll always keep that in the back of your head of like, I did run 10.8. Like maybe it's worth trying, for a season, see what's going on. But like, yeah, that one was impressive. And then to beat who she's beating, like Julian Alfred, Dina Asher-Smith, like those are people that very, very well can win the Olympics this year, like in the 100. Like it can happen. Is it guaranteed? Of course not. But if I told you that, hey, Julian Alfred won the Olympic 100 meters, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, that's impossible. Or Dina Asher-Smith won, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, it's impossible. It's a possibility. And for her to say that, like, that's got to only give her confidence. And oh my God, I wouldn't want to be neck and neck with her at the end of a 400. Like, you're telling me I'm neck and neck with 100 meters to go. I don't know, man. That might be tough.
Yeah. So it's special, man. It's special. Excited to see what she does and where she wants to take her career,
100%. It'll be good. And so next we had crazy meet going on for a whole lot of stuff. Penn Relays. I was out there live. If you didn't see it, go and check out some of the content. Have a lot of interviews, posted 18 interviews over the course of 2 days with a lot of different athletes ranging from high school, college, professional coaches, all of that. So go and check us out with some of the videos and the interviews that we had. I want to start us off with the University of South Florida, their men's and their women's team. So for those that don't know, because many people may not, so University of South Florida, they haven't been a historic sprinting program. Like, they've had a few runners here and there, they've been able to do things, but this year has been and last year, I guess, towards a little bit, has really been a surgence for them for the sprints. The men win the 4x2 as well as the 4x1. The women win the 4x2 at Penn Relays. And they're running the fastest time in the entire country. And if you take a look at the post-race interview that I had with them, they ain't scared of nobody. They're like, yo, whoever you got, put them on the line. Let's line up. Let's do it. I'm ready. You're going to see the same type of thing each and every day. It's, where do you think this South Florida team is coming from? What does this also mean, for, what we could see at NCAAs where, you got them. They ran, what was it, a time of 39-34 in the cold wind of Penn Relays, beating out Houston. What's this kind of mean for them going forward here?
Yeah, it's another player there joining up. It's another big dog in the fight. I think through this early season success, there's somebody to be taken seriously, and I really want to credit their coach. His name's Abiji Ideen. I don't want to disrespect you by mispronouncing your name, but credit to him. As a relay, it tells more than having one or two good performers. If you can put a full relay together, men and women, that's going to be a testament to good coaching and good developing from that guy on down to his athletes, building a culture. And you said when you interviewed them, they seemed as though they were ready for all the smoke, and they felt that they gave that confidence. And I think a lot of times that's going to come from a coach and the culture that a coach sets. So it starts with him. I'm excited to see what University of South Florida does here and moving forward now that they might have a target on their back. But beating Houston's a cool feat, man. It's not light. It's hard to beat Houston. So, congrats to them, and tell me a little bit more of what you saw out there at Penn Relays.
Yeah, man, it was great. It was super cool. Also just wild. Bro, they had scalpers for the Penn Relays. They had people that were just reselling tickets. I'm just standing out there. I'm hearing people going tickets, who needs tickets? I'm like, bro, I didn't know it was this serious. You got people looking just buying all these discount tickets to get into Penn Relays. Just shows you just how crazy it is to come out to this thing. There's 30,000 people in this arena watching a track and field meet. The championship, if you were to say, what do you think was the loudest event? It was the high school boys 4x4 by far. It wasn't the pro race. It wasn't a college race. It was a high school race, which was ridiculous. And we'll get into that in a second, but it's just an amazing atmosphere. The weather was fairly solid. It was really good for the first day and second day. Saturday was it was definitely starting to get cold, and it was kind of brutal for a little bit, but it's just an amazing event. And if you have an opportunity to go there, anyone has an opportunity to go there, do it. It is worth going out to just seeing the Jamaicans show up every single time. There was a concert that happened after the meet, which was really cool. And so it's unlike any other experience. If you ever have an opportunity to go, anyone, do it. It is worth it. If you can only go for one time, one part of it, go and see the high school boys 4x4. That is what you want to see. It's an amazing experience. It's super exciting. But overall, great meet, a lot of good competitions, and we'll get into some of the results and some of the storylines in a second. But yeah, it was cool. It was a really nice event.
Yeah, I think for me personally, man, going to Penn Relays, I think I only went once, but I went as a high school sophomore or freshman, one of the two. I don't quite remember, but it kind of sparked my love for the sport. When you're around that type of atmosphere and you're around that type of energy from different countries, high school, college, professionals, you get to see track at like its biggest. You know, I don't want to say biggest as far as like broadcasting or best talent, but it's so much energy there. It's so much just love and passion, and it's all for track and field. And for me, that was my first time experiencing that and being immersed in that, that energy and that culture. And man, it's awesome. Like you said, if you've never been to a Penn Relays and you just want to check out a great track meet, a huge track meet, that's the one to go to. It's so historic. I'll never miss hearing the cowbells. I remember hearing the cowbells. I don't know if they did that this year, but I remember hearing the cowbells when I was there, man. And having the vendors, getting some jerk chicken over there, having all the tent set up and all that stuff, man. It's a beautiful event, man. So that's cool. You got to go. Maybe next year I'll check it out or something like that.
For sure. It was a dope event. It's super, super fun. Like you said, you get to see a bunch of different people coming on out, where it's like the Super Bowl, for it. It's awesome. Super, super sick. And so we had some other really great performances, two big ones that I want to highlight, give some, a little bit of background to. Bullis, our team of the United States, Maryland high school, they came out to perform. You saw on the boys side, you had Quincy Wilson, who brought home the Athlete of the Meet award after splitting a 44-37 and a 44-65 in the high school 4x4. He is a sophomore in high school. Noah, you're a 400-meter runner. Like, could you break down actually how impressive that is as a high school boy sophomore to be running those types of times and to bringing your team into these types of contentions?
It's absolutely incredible. I believe that there was one, maybe two guys on the USA World Championship 4x4 team, gold medalist team last year, run times comparable to this 16-year-old child. That is this kid is so special. I say that word pretty often, but like, he is special to be 16 years old and sophomore in high school. Like, bro just had a geometry test the day before, and then he goes and splits 44-37. Absolutely incredible. Like, there's only a few people on this earth that can do that, and he's one of them. So that's incredible.
Yeah, the 4x4, like, so for those that didn't know exactly what happened, I'll break down. He kind of he had to run that to get their team even into the final. Like, so Bullis, they were one of the favorites to potentially, win the entire 4x4, but in the prelim, there was a fall. Their second runner, he bumped the baton, got bumped out of his hand. He fell on the track over the back corner, and so they go from being in first to now being a couple, like 15 meters behind. And so Quincy gets the baton, 15 meters back. And in order to make it to the final, guaranteed, you have to win the heat in order to qualify off time. Like, he would have had to run a crazy time. And so if he didn't split a 44-37, they would not have made it to the final. And so they needed something special from this kid, which is just extremely impressive to see him coming up in this rare form of, you don't see that happen ever, especially at a high school level, especially as a sophomore. And so just like super impressive from him to end up doing that. And then in the final, there was they fell again. Like, I don't know what's going on with them. Like, it's like they just caught some bad luck. But so what happened in the final? It is the third runner. So it's the second going off to the third runner. And it's really tight. It's between them, this other high school, Excelsior from Jamaica, as well as Jamaica College that is up there. Oh no, Kingston College, Excelsior, Bullis, as well as Bishop McNamara. Those are the four schools that are at top, and it is really close. And so currently we have Bullis in third place, and if it's probably like a meter difference, they're going to hand off. Team from Excelsior, they were behind them at the time. He hands the baton off, trips over his own legs, falls in front of the guy from Bullis. And then as Bullis goes to turn around and run and get started, the guy is already on the ground in front of him. And so he just trips over him. Kingston College, as well as Excelsior, they were in the far inside lane, so it doesn't affect them. but it affects the guy from the kid from Bullis, which was, I believe, Cameron who ended up falling. And apparently he's a freshman too. And so this is happening to a freshman in high school. And he still picks himself up. They've fallen back to about 5th place at this time. And so they're going around, and it's just like there's no chance. They're in no man's land at this time by the time they give the baton to Quincy. It's just they're running by themselves. And they hand the baton off to Quincy. He does something special again, a 44.69, and gets them right into 3rd place and the top spot amongst all United States schools. It was just the roar of the crowd after, like, on that anchor leg was incredible. You would have thought this was an Olympic final, but it was just 17-year-old kids running track and field, which was ridiculous. And it just goes to show, if that fall hadn't happened, there's a lot of stuff that could have happened, because there was a protest. So for another little inside, I'll give you some game. It's a Track World News exclusive. So I was the only person that was standing behind on the track to be able to do this. So
you heard it here first.
Heard it here first. So this is what happened. Bullis College comes in 3rd place. You would think, and this is the last event of the meet. All right, cool. The meet's over. Let's go home. Let's call it a day. Congratulations, Kingston College. It's a wrap. Cool? Nope, it's not what happened. There were 2 protests that happened during that competition. One from Bullis, and then one from and one from Bishop McNamara. So Bullis was doing a protest that Excelsior, the team that came in 2nd, that there was lanes infringement, because they fell right in front of their runner. And you can hear this directly from their coach, Coach Lee, in another video that I have on YouTube. He breaks this down completely. But so he falls right in front of their runner. And because he didn't have any space, the number 3 runner, to run, he protested as if that's lane infringement. Like, our runner didn't even have a chance to get out because it was right in front of him. And so that is an infringement, and they should be and they protested that they should be disqualified for that because they didn't give their runner a chance. So that was the first protest that they had going on. Bishop McNamara, also of Maryland, they were protesting that Kingston College should be disqualified because they also had a lane infringement when they were passing the baton from 2nd to 3rd. They were pushing them a little bit, in the exchange zones, and they claimed, hey, that should be a disqualification. You're impeding our athlete during this handoff. And so now, if both of these protests went through, we would have then had Bullis end up being the 4x4 champions, which would have been the first time in 17 years that a United States team won a 4x4. Quincy wasn't even alive last time they won. These athletes weren't even born last time the United States won at Penn Relays in the 4x4. So this would have been something huge. And something that I didn't know, apparently, at least in high school, you have to pay $20 to protest a meet. Like, in order to get the jury involved, you got to pay money to get people to actually formally protest, which is crazy. I had no idea that was a thing. So they're going through their protest. This is taking an hour and a half. I'm standing in the mix zone watching the coaches going through the rule book. They have videos that they're going through. They're taking pictures and screenshots. They're printing them out. They're blowing them up. They're looking at everything, trying to figure out what was going on. And it's cold. It is freezing at this point. The concert had already started. The meet is over. They're packing stuff up, and they're still trying to figure out who the winner was. After some time, they initially said the protests don't go through. Kingston College, you're the champions. Excelsior 2nd, and then USA with Bullis. You guys were the first team USA to win and got 3rd place. Just a long time of going through, an hour and a half worth of protests that went on behind the scenes that people may not have seen, but overall, crazy meet, a wild competition. If you were, I'm not sure if you've ever had any experiences like that, but had you ever been in a situation where there were some protests going through, and as an athlete, was there ever something where you're just like, man, I just want to go home? Or what's the emotion at that time when you got something, kind of dragging out for an hour and a half at that point?
Yeah, man, let's talk about it. So in high school, this is a high school event. In high school, I ran a 4x200 at New Balance Nationals. We were in the emerging elite division. I think it was my sophomore year in high school. and we won, right? I ran the anchor leg, I ran the crazy leg, like, you know, the team's happy, whatever. We won. We get our medals, get our crowns. We celebrate, we took our pictures. We all on Instagram, flexing, all of this, right? We leave the facility, go over to Chipotle. I remember we was getting our food. I was in line ordering, and my coach kept calling me. So this is probably like an hour, the good hour and a half after the race was over. So they calling me. I'm like, man, I ain't answering right now. I'm with the homies. I'm with my guys. We just want a title. You know, we flexing, talking to girls and stuff in the restaurant. I ain't trying to answer. So I finally answered, like, what's up? He's like, y'all got to come back, bring the medals. I said, what? You got to do that for? He's like, just come back, bring the medals. I'm like, hey, y'all, we got to go back, bring the medals. I don't know what this is about, right? So we go back, whatever, find coach, like, hey, y'all, we got DQ'd. Huh? Oh, such and such protested, we got DQ'd because, you know, our leadoff leg, he was stepping on the line. We was like crushed, bro. Like, because the protest actually went through. We already took the pictures, you know what I'm saying, Instagram, everything. So, man, for that to go through and us to lose like that, it was heartbreaking as a young 16-year-old self. But, you know, I have had my fair share of experiences there with protests and being on the bad side of one. So, you know.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Like, are those pictures still up on Instagram, or did you take them down?
No, they might be on one of my relay members. One of my relay members might still have it up on his Instagram, but I took mine down, man. I can't be false flexing like that.
Yeah, that's tough. That stinks, man. Yeah, like that had to be brutal for them, you know, to be coming through. I mean, and the coach and the athletes handled it very well at the end. Like, they were like, don't be sorry for us. Like, look, we'll be back. And they're actually there's gonna be a rematch this upcoming week in Maryland against Kingston College, Excelsior, Bishop McNamara, and Bullis. So they're gonna run it back very next, which you don't see very often, especially in high school, like these levels of athletes coming back at it. So excited to see what that's gonna be. But yeah, that just had to be crushing of like, and if that fall didn't happen, they're winning that race. Like, they lost about 2.5 seconds on the race, and then they lost by about 2 seconds as well. And so if they're right there, like, I'm taking Quint, the guy that runs 44 in high school, over, you know, because the anchor leg for the other teams are running 46, which is an incredible times to be running in high school. But like, you got a guy running professional level times, you know, that's something different. So yeah. That I was talking to them. I wonder what your thoughts are. Do you think that the high school national record 4x4 could potentially go down? It is a 3:07:40 from 1985. They were splitting a 48.1, a 47.7, a 47.1, and a 44.5. A guy, Hawthorne from California. Do you think that we could see a potential, you know, high school national record in the 4x4 go down for the boys side?
What did Bullis run this past week?
Yeah, Bullis ran a 3:13:10 with the fall that they had.
So 3:13:10 in April. With, let's say, 2 seconds, 3:11. You said a 3:08 is the record? 3:07 is the record?
3:07.4. That's fast, man.
I don't see it, but they'll definitely run sub 3:10. I'll book them for sub 3:10. That's the record. They need. I don't know if they were checking birth certificates at the time, bro. 3:07 is fast. Like, 3:07 is fast for real. I remember when I was at Akron, we might have ran like 3:09 in one conference. You know, so like, that's impressive. So I don't think they'll run that, but they should run sub 3:10, and that is something to be very proud of.
Yeah, if you run a 3:07, like, I don't know what the times are, but you could dang near qualify for like NCAAs. You're pretty dang close. Like,
you'll definitely make the first round. Like, you'll probably make to the regional meet. Like, I'm not positive, but proud.
You know something even crazier? That's not even the fact. Like, Calabar in 2018 ran a 3:03:79 at Penn Relays.
It's crazy. Splitting
47.6, 45.5, 45.8, and a 44.8. Ridiculous. Just crazy work. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Man. And so we'll stick one more race with Bullis. So the high school for the girls, they broke the high school national record for the girls 4x4. They ended up running a time of 3:35.17. Came in second place overall to Heidel, who ran a 3:34.78 that made their third championship in a row for them. And it came down to the line. It was a lean at the line for who was going to be the winner. It was super close, and they also have a very young team. Both teams are going to be returning with at least 3 of their athletes next year, which is ridiculous. You usually see team 4x4s in high school are all seniors. When you're doing this, and to be returning this, I mean, it's crazy. Like we've seen Bullis be in the spotlight as there's not many high schools that track and field at fans would know. Like Bullis is one of them. Like, what do you think they're doing at that school? I know you ain't go to Bullis, but what do they got to be doing at that school where they're just having athlete after athlete after athlete coming from there, man?
Yeah, well, to start off, man, the DMV just has a ton of talent. And I think when Bullis started getting more hot around 2016, I want to say, I feel like a lot of kids would commute an hour and a half, 2 hours just to transfer there and go there and give themselves an opportunity once they saw what was going on. A lot of collegiate runners, even a couple pro runners at this point, have been developed through Bullis. And, I just think it probably gained clout in the city and in the area. And now kids from all over the DMV want to travel there and go there, for a better opportunity, which I'm all for, completely support, so whatever they're doing at Bullis, man, they're doing it right. They got the New Balance deal over there, constantly getting the coolest jerseys and stuff. I know Masai Russell went there. It's a dope school, dope program what they got going on, man.
Yeah, they wore 5 different uniforms at Penn Relays. They had the pink ones, yellow ones, green ones, black ones. I was like, bro, how many uniforms y'all got? My school in high school, we had 2. We had a black one, we had a white one. That was it. And the black one you only got if you went to states. We didn't have it like that. So I'm like, damn, that's how y'all made it. And the rest of your school is sponsored by Under Armour. And just the track team is New Balance, because they were like, nah, we're taking this over. That's how you know that you made it. Coach Lee, I was talking to him. He's a great dude. He was also a fan of the program. So appreciate that you're a fan of the show, Coach Lee. So just what they're doing over there is special. So it's something crazy for sure.
Yeah, man.
Well, awesome. So. I know you just shared your story. So the story from the track segment, that was Noah's shared his with his 4x2. Their unfortunate finish there with the protest. I did have something as well that I wanted to share. So this was high school, and it was when it wasn't the state championship, but it was it was called what is it? It was at Penn State. I'm drawing the Kevin Dare invite. That's what it was. So at the Kevin Dare invite, and it's in Penn State in the indoor meet. It had already snowed a lot, and this was one of the few meets in high school that we actually stayed overnight. So we would stay overnight for this meet as well as indoor states. Outdoor states we didn't, because we were close enough to where it was. But so this is one of the cool things. You get to stay with the homies. And so I remember this was the night before the meet, kids just acting like fools, just being dumb. And so we're at the hotel. This was I think it was my senior or junior year. I can't remember. We're at the hotel and it's snowing. And so one of my teammates, I'm not going to air out his name. I won't say who he is. He was like the goon of the team. He was one of the fastest guys on the team, but he was just he was dumb. He liked doing dumb stuff. And so what he did was, outside of our hotel on our floor, we were on the 4th floor. There was a smaller building right in front of us where the pool was. And so he opened up the window and got on top of the roof and walks over to our hotel room outside. So he's on the roof of the other hotel. And so he just is looking at us death stare into our hotel, just like that. And I look over and I let out the loudest yell. I'm at like it's pitch black at this point. It's night, and he's a dark skinned bull, and so he's smiling. You just see his white teeth and his eyes, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? I'm thinking like, yo, we're about to get kidnapped. It's a ghost. I don't know what the hell it is. And he's like, nah, it's just me. It's bro. And I'm like, God damn, you scared the hell out of me. And so we're like, you know what we got to do? We got to go fuck with the coaches now. And so the coaches were like 3 people down because we thought it would have been funny. Oh, they'll think it's funny. No, they didn't think it was fun. So we go out there and we just like tap on their window. They're like, what the hell was that? We tap on their window again and they see like one of my friend's hands and like he had on like a lot of like bracelets that were pretty like noticeable. Like people knew who they were. And they're like, huh, what were those bracelets? So they get out and go to our his room and they see him trying to get in the window and they're like, are you freaking kidding me? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, are you outside on the freaking roof? He's like, no, what are you talking about? Yes, I just saw your bracelets. He's like, no, why is the window open? Why do you got snow on your shoes? He's like, oh, bro. He's like, nah, like we can kick you off the team for this. And like I was like in the room, like I had already gotten in, he was climbing in, and they're like, yo, we can kick y'all off the team for this. Like, no, please don't. And so we're sweating it. He's like, you know what? We're talking about this in the morning. Go to bed and like we're gonna discuss this at breakfast. And so we get to breakfast. Man, that was a terrible night. We got a competition the next day. I'm about to pole vault. And so he talks to us. He's like, look, you guys are like absolute idiots for doing this. Like, you know what you guys got to do? I think we had a run. We were sprinters and pole vaulters at the time. He's like, you know what you guys got to do? We're going to have you run the mile and the 4x8 at the upcoming dual meet. I was like, oh, hell no, man. It's like, that's the punishment, bro. Like, you decided to do this dumb stuff. You run the mile. You